WCCO Mornings, Pope Francis still in critical condition, battling pneumonia. How local Catholics are remembering his impact on their churches.
And local Ukrainians and their supporters mark 3 years of war in war-torn Ukraine against Russia.
And a new way to keep the roads safe or an invasion of privacy. How police say AI-powered cameras will crack down on distracted driving, and how the state Supreme Court is weighing in.
Healthy heart habits. Did you know February is Heart Health Month? The biggest risks for heart disease you don't even know about. Good Monday morning to you and yours. Welcome to WCCO Mornings. We're streaming live on CBS News Minnesota. I'm AJ Hilton.
And I'm Heather Brown. Thanks so much for being on the stream with us. We do want to get straight to your top stories. Burnsville police say a suspect is in custody. This after an hours-long standoff with police. So officers in tactical gear and an armored vehicle, they were at the scene. This is near County Road 11, just west of Terrace Oaks West Park. Now, police did put out an alert for neighbors to take shelter. They did ask the public to avoid that area as they block surrounding streets. One neighbor we talked with said that they started seeing police activity about 5 o'clock last night, and that's unusual for their quiet neighborhood.
Stuff like this doesn't happen often here, so it raises alarms, and we've all been looking out the windows.
So we are still working to learn more about what led to that standoff. We will bring you any updates just as soon as we learn more.
Meanwhile, authorities are still looking for a young man charged in a series of alarming sex attacks. This is 18-year-old Rakai Davis from St. Paul. Police say DNA connects him to one attack in 2023, 2 more just last year. Here's the disturbing part. Investigators say he met all of his victims on dating apps or websites. They also believe there could be more victims out there. If you know where he is or if you have any information, give police a call. We are also continuing to follow what's happening in Italy this morning, specifically Vatican City, because Catholics around the world are praying for the recovery of Pope Francis.
Now, yesterday, the Pope was in critical condition, battling double pneumonia with blood tests revealing early signs of kidney failure. He did continue to get high-flow oxygen through tubes in his nose and blood transfusions. Over the weekend, the Pope's doctors underscored he is a fragile patient and his treatment has been complex. And as thoughts and well wishes continue to pour in from around the world for Pope Francis.
We know people here in the Twin Cities are remembering how he impacted the church here at home. We want to check in with our Pauline Lee, who joins us from the live desk with our continuing coverage on Pope Francis. Pauline.
Hey, good morning, guys. As you said, well wishes are pouring in from across the country, including here at home. Catholics in Minnesota focused this weekend on praying for the Pope's good health. Well, all the parishes in the Archdiocese of St. Paul and Minneapolis reserved time during Mass services to pray for the Pope's recovery. For some, this was an occasion to look back on the Pontiff's nearly 12-year papacy and how he has challenged Catholics to think critically on challenges facing the world.
He cares for people. He wants the lives of people to be better. You know how he always talks about immigrants, about people who are poor, about the children in war zones. I mean, he's concerned with the people and the well-being of the people.
And Archbishop Bernard Hebda of the Archdiocese of St. Paul and Minneapolis also tweeted over the weekend, saying in part, "We join Catholics and those of goodwill around the globe in praying for Pope Francis. May he be restored to good health and be comforted at this critical time by our prayers." No doubt those prayers will continue to come in as they closely monitor the Pope's conditions, guys.
Yeah, all eyes on Vatican City right now. Pauline Lee from the live desk. Pauline, thank you.
Today marks 3 years since Russia invaded Ukraine, and this weekend, a show of support for local Ukrainians and the families with loved ones who have been impacted by the war.
Traditional music was part of an event inside a packed auditorium in Saturday. This is over in Northeast Minneapolis. Our Frankie McLister was also there and has this story about the local support for the resilience of the Ukrainian people.
A somber but uniting ceremony. The Ukrainian American Center offering the community a chance to honor the lives lost and recognize the ongoing fight. Among those offering a helping hand,
I am Amy Klobuchar,
Minnesota's senior senator meeting with the Ukrainian soldiers who've seen the front lines of this war.
I stand with them, and so do so many others, Democrats and Republicans.
So many people in one room, showing the breadth of the impact 3 years on. Impact felt by families like the Balkans, who moved to Champlin 2 years ago. They say the loved ones they left behind mean the war is never far from their mind.
Тому що рідні і близькі залишились в Україні.
She's saying no because everyone are like our family. They're still there, and we are really worried about them.
Their story is a familiar one in Minnesota. Senator Klobuchar says Minnesota is one of the leading places for Ukrainian immigrants and refugees to settle. And she continues to support Ukrainian leadership.
I have met President Zelensky. He is a true patriot for his country.
Despite President Trump referring to Zelensky as a dictator earlier this week. But the crowd in Northeast Minneapolis says it'll take American support from both sides to secure Ukraine's future.
I hope that Congress will rise up, Democrats and Republicans get together to fight this injustice.
Do you think there's hope for your country?
Я думаю, що тут є надія для нашої.
Yes, always time, yeah, is hope.
Frankie McLister, WCCO News.
Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry also at Saturday's ceremony, and in a recent Facebook post, he said, quote, "We continue to stand by our friends and neighbors in the Ukrainian community," end quote.
It is now 7:06. Let's take a live look over St. Paul. You can see that sun is bright, just made its way up over the horizon. Joseph, we've been mentioning all morning. This is the first morning that we're seeing the sunrise before 7 a.m., 6:59.
Oh, and it's great. Yeah, we love that shot there this morning. And what's even better is that we're pairing that with a warmer air, too. I mean, this time last week, we had wind chills that were 36 below our Monday morning last week. It was just so intense. So this morning it is warm, it is mild. It's just kind of piggybacking off of what we had going on for our Sunday forecast with temperatures in the upper 40s. We're still holding on to that warmth. Maple Lake coming out 36 degrees right now. It is a little breezy. At times this morning we've had wind gusting to about 25 miles per hour. That will pick on up in intensity as we go into the afternoon once again. But there's going to be some windy moments, no doubt, but that's going to help stir in some of that warmer air for today. 41 right now, feels like 34. West breeze at 12 miles per hour. Yes, we have that beautiful sunrise, but the clouds are going to increase as we get into the afternoon. So I don't think we're going to have as bright of a sunset as we head into this evening, but we'll take this morning sunshine. It is really nice. 38 right now coming out of Grand Rapids, 41 for Mankato, and if you're joining us to the west, anywhere from Alexandria extending down to the counties to the southwest there, temperatures right now when you're heading out the door in the mid-30s. So what's going to change everything up as far as this afternoon goes? It's going to be this system out here to the west, all right? So even through the course of the morning, we've already seen more cloud coverage move on in. It was practically clear about a couple hours ago. Clouds will take over, and then that moisture right there, that's also going to move on in. There's a chance for some raindrops mainly southwest of 94 and south of the cities as we go through the day. All right, but you can see the clouds take over. I have temperatures today warming up to about the lower 50s. And then we cool down through the overnight, but not too bad. I have a better chance, though, for some rain here and maybe some wet snowflakes later this week. I'll break down the rest of your week coming up at 7:30.
Sounds like a plan, Joseph. Thank you. Your next drive looks really good for a Monday. Matter of fact, let's start with the traffic map. No problems this morning, at least from what you see from this point. However, one thing you could run into this morning if you get ready to leave, that would be glare. Want to take you down to 494 35W. You know this spot. Always busy with the construction happening over in Bloomington, the Richfield area. But look at the sun. It could be a problem this morning. Make sure you have those sunglasses this morning. That way you're not blinded by the sunlight this morning.
AI cameras being deployed for the first time here in Minnesota. And the first spot that they'll watch out for is known for being a dangerous stretch of road because of distracted drivers. In 2024 alone, Highway 7 saw at least 5 fatal crashes. This is according to South Lake Minnetonka Police. The Highway 7 Safety Coalition recently received a more than $400,000 grant from the state of Minnesota, part of which is paying for AI cameras that can recognize when drivers are on their phones. The police say they've stopped well over 100 drivers in the last few weeks thanks to these cameras.
So we're looking for a way to educate people. Enforcement is one way to educate people, and that's one of the ways that we're using. But we're not citing everybody. We're not sending tickets in the mail. We're letting people know this is a problem. They need to focus on driving, and they need to put their phones down.
So the cameras don't automatically issue tickets. Police check and make sure there's an actual distracted driver, and then they pull that driver over. At this rate, police say the cameras will detect tens of thousands of distracted drivers by the end of the month. So that leads us to our question of the day. Is AI The future of traffic management and safety. Yes, should we embrace it or no? It can't replace a human. We want to hear from you. Chime in right now. Easy to do. Scan the QR code on your screen. You can also go to WCCO.com/connect. Then we'll check back in with you coming up in just a bit.
So we know February is Black History Month, but did you also know it's American Heart Month? Matter of fact, there is a new survey that shows many Americans are unaware of some of the biggest risk factors for heart disease.
So according to the Cleveland Clinic, 40% don't know that using tobacco hurts your heart. 62% didn't know air pollution does as well. 90% didn't know the impacts that supplements and vitamins can have on your heart. And one of the least known factors that increases heart problems is sleep deprivation. Survey also showed that many Americans are skipping those prescribed heart medications, which doctors say is very dangerous. Now, heart disease kills more people than all cancers and accidents combined.
Think about that for a second, combined. This morning, we're sharing an Eden Prairie man's close call. Our Barrett Leone shows us how a new South Metro Rehabilitation Center helped get him back on his feet.
4 minutes.
Stephen Yuns never had a heart attack.
Three. It's what I usually work at.
But he was close.
I had a tight band go across my chest, and I said, uh-oh.
A trip to the doctor last summer confirmed a massive blockage.
I'm proud owner now of a 4mm by 14mm stent in my Widowmaker. 95% blocked. Basically, I was a heart attack waiting to happen.
The scare was a bit of a wake-up call.
I don't want this to happen again. There needs to be a change. What do I do?
A question answered here.
We try to meet people where they're at.
A first of its kind to the Twin Cities, an intensive cardiac rehab center.
We're here to give tools and build that self-confidence, and that's what cardiac rehab is all about.
From managing medication, movement,
10,
mental health, and meals, patients attend an 18-week program.
One of the purposes of our cooking classes is to expose patients to food they might not normally have had.
And unlike other heart rehabs, a commercial kitchen and dietitian to help implement heart-healthy diet changes.
They can taste the food, they can see how it's prepared, and then they know going in that it's something that they're going to enjoy.
Yuns is now down 10 pounds and confident he'll be around to enjoy it.
95% blocked. I would have collapsed. May not have made it.
In Eden Prairie, Barrett Leone, WCCO News.
Starting to make those changes. That center, by the way, opened in August of last year. Youngs was the first patient to complete the Intensive Cardiac Rehab Center's program, and he urges anyone facing tightness or pain in their chest to go to the doctor because it could save your life.
Coming up next.
This was my last practice before Italy.
How did it feel?
It felt really wonderful. I loved it.
A Special Olympic skier from Minnesota will be representing Team USA at the World Competition next month. Her journey to get there. Shayla.
Are you ready to get your book of spells? Well, you can do just that coming up Thursday at O'Donovan's Pub as the Wizards and Wands cocktail experience kicks off for the very first time here in the United States. Some of the cool drinks you can make when you come. We're talking about it when we come back.
If you are into all things magic and mystery, guess what? There is an event just for you. It's called the Wizards and Wands Cocktail Experience. And Shayla Reeves joins us in Minneapolis to tell us all about it. Shayla, looks like you've had a lot of fun out there this morning.
Oh, I'm having a blast, and it's really an experience brought to life. Whether you're into magic, mixology, mystery, this experience has it all. And what's very cool is the first time it's been here in the United States. I'm here with the owner of O'Donovan's Pub, Dermot Cowley, to be a part of this first-time experience, Wizards and Wands cocktail experience in the United States. What does that mean to you?
Really excited about it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. People, just watching the actors perform and do the show. I'm super excited about it. I think people are going to have a great time.
And to be able to have it hosted here at O'Donovan's, what does that mean to you?
I'm really proud of that we get to be the first ones doing it, and everybody, all our staff, we're just super pumped to get this going and have a lot of fun with it.
Here next to you is Amaya, but in character you are?
Mildred, not Minion, Mildred.
And tell us, we've got these wands here. What will we do with these?
You will get these wands once you complete a task, and then after that task is completed, you get to complete a bunch of other fun, mystical, magical activities.
And once you earn the wand, you also get a chance to try one of these incredible drinks.
Oh, yes.
So this is one of the three. What is this called?
That one is our Whomping Willow, and it is a cocktail. We do have a mocktail that's Dragon's Blood. And we have this one right here called Lucky Stars. That one is a nice, tart, magical flavor.
Ah, yes, you definitely tasted. And then how would you describe the one next to it?
That one we call Lucky Stars. It is a celestial blend of beauty and magic, and don't give any to the professor because she will try to use it for scratch-offs.
Wow. For folks that are interested, how do they get tickets?
You go on to wizardsandwands.com and you'll find the link for all the tickets right there. And you can also go to Facebook and go to their events page, find us through there, click the link. That way it might be easier for some folks.
All right, Wizards and Wands Experience? Yes.com. Quickly before we go, St. Patrick's Day, we've got about 10 seconds.
St. Patrick's Day's coming up. Everybody go to your favorite Irish pub, come out, celebrate luck of the Irish. And God bless you all.
All right. We'll send it back to you guys there in the studio.
It's a fun out there in Minneapolis. Shayla Reeves live for us. Shayla, we appreciate it. Thank you. Want to get to this story. This is an inspirational story here. A Minnesota skier on her way to the world stage next month. Bethany Musil is her name. She downhill skis with Special Olympics, and she has worked hard enough on the Minnesota hills to now have a chance to go for gold in the Italian Alps. WCCO's Marielle Mose shows her story.
Bethany Musil carves her own path. For the last 15 years, she's been training to be her very best at skiing, which earned her a spot competing on the world stage. But getting here didn't come easy.
When I get nervous, I usually tell myself to take some deep breaths.
Thanks to her many Special Olympics coaches, like Barrett Dussault, she's learned to master the slalom.
Barrett's been helping me with ski techniques, like learning how to bend my knees and learning how to turn a little more.
With Special Olympics, I mean, it's hard to ski when you have special needs. So, I don't know, just she's had a great attitude through the whole thing.
Last season, Bethany raced her way to a gold medal at the state ski meet on Wild Mountain in Taylor's Falls. This moment opened the door for her to compete internationally.
This was my last practice before Italy.
How did it feel?
It felt really wonderful. I loved it.
She got her final tracks in Sunday morning at Highland Hill Ski Area in Bloomington before heading to Turin, Italy to compete in the Special Olympic Winter Games.
I'm very excited, but very nervous.
She'll compete in 3 events: slalom, giant slalom, and Super G. Her coaches are confident she'll find even more success at the world competition.
I think she's going to do amazing. I think she's going to have fun overall, and I think that's the best part of it.
Bethany is now 41 years old, accomplishing big things after picking up this sport later in life, hoping her story inspires other athletes to do the same.
You keep doing what you're doing and then work on your skills and be confident in yourself.
In Bloomington, Marielle Mose, WCCO News.
Authors words to all live by: be confident in yourself. Bethany will compete in Italy in 2 weeks. The Special Olympics World Winter Games, they start on March 8th with more than 1,500 athletes competing. So best of luck to Bethany. So if you had A-Rod sinking a half-court shot, baking in 10 grand for a college student on your bingo card, kudos to you. Watch this for yourself. 14-time MLB All-Star turned potential soon-to-be Minnesota Timberwolves owner. Whoa, he nailed it! Nailed that shot at Bucknell University. You see the crowd going wild. A-Rod takes a lap around the room there. A-Rod was actually at Bucknell to speak about a company he founded with Mark Laurie, who also hopes to buy the Timberwolves. By the way, Laurie graduated from Bucknell, so that's the connection. He's there. But A-Rod getting 10 grand for a college student. Pretty cool. Still to come, we got to update you on today's weather, plus more of this morning's top headlines. And a little bit later, the last flag raiser. WCCO journalists look back at their documentary about the Minnesota native who hoisted a flag on Iwo Jima in World War II.
News Minnesota.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm AJ Hilton. Joseph Dames is going to check in with his warm next weather forecast in just a second. Want to start with this. Could there soon be mining of the boundary waters? There's a public hearing at the state capitol today set to tackle that very question. Minnesota residents and organizations are urging lawmakers to address the dangers of copper sulfide mining. The first day of his presidency, President Donald Trump signed an order that would bring mining back to the protected boundary waters. Republican Congressman Pete Stauber introduced a bill to reinstate mineral leases to companies and open to the Superior National Forest to mining. So the bill being discussed today would bring back those restrictions unless proof can be brought that copper sulfide mining does not cause pollution. It would also ban Minnesota for issue mining permits to corporations that have violated certain international laws. That hearing at the Minnesota Senate building takes place at 10:15 this morning. morning. Quickly want to take a look at your next drive as well. Not following much. See that exclamation point on your screen? Do want to take you up to the Mounds View area. This is going to be on Highway 10. This is Highway 10 eastbound. There is a crash here. Make sure you have those sunglasses, Joseph, because you're going to need them on a day like today.
Boy, is it bright, but it's also very warm out here early this morning. Warm for a morning temperature, that's for sure. 39 degrees right now. In the Twin Cities, it's going to stay nice and mild throughout the day today. If you enjoyed yesterday's forecast, pretty similar, but more clouds this afternoon, and it's going to be a little breezy out there, 21 miles per hour. A high of 52 in the Twin Cities. I'll let you know when it's going to cool down again. We'll have that portion of the forecast at 7:30.
You're watching WCCO Mornings, always streaming on CBS News Minnesota.
Next on WCCO Mornings, email ultimatum. What Elon Musk wants some federal workers to do or face resignation.
Plus, some farmers say they are feeling those funding freezes, how they're reacting to the latest moves by the Trump administration.
Winter running out of time. Some deadlines Minnesota anglers need to know as the ice fishing season comes to a close.
Plus, the testing for bird flu set to start in Minnesota to keep the food you eat safe.
Thanks so much for joining us on this Monday. I'm AJ Hilton.
And I'm Heather Brown.
We begin this morning with a looming deadline for millions of federal workers after a weekend email from Elon Musk telling them to explain their accomplishments over the last week.
Now, this comes as just last night, the White House, and here's a live look there from there, announcing it's firing 2,000 USAID employees, putting thousands more on administrative leave. Now, Musk says a failure to respond will be taken as a resignation, but not every federal agency is cooperating with Musk's new demand. The Departments of State, Homeland Security, and Defense have all told their employees not to comply. Later on today, President Trump will turn his focus to foreign relations by inviting France's president to the White House. Russia's war in Ukraine is expected to be a top issue there, with Ukraine's president saying over the weekend that he would step down for peace and a place in the NATO alliance. Now, as the Trump administration continues its mass firings, the president announces a new leader for the FBI.
Dan Bongino, a conservative talk show host, is the new deputy director alongside Kash Patel. Bongino is a former Secret Service agent. President Trump posted to social media that the talk show host is willing to give up his radio show and podcast for that position. The Trump administration also reportedly ordered that government scientists working on a global climate report stop their work immediately. That report from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change was due out to come out in the year 2029. Well, now the authors' international meeting that was set to take place in China next week, that is in limbo. Media organization the Associated Press is trying to get back into the White House.
So they are suing 3 Trump officials over their ban. AP reporters have been barred from some of President Trump's events, the Oval Office and Air Force One. In the lawsuit that was filed on Friday in federal court, the AP said that the ban violates the First Amendment. Now, earlier this month, the news agency was singled out by the White House for continuing to use the phrase Gulf of Mexico after Trump had renamed it Gulf of America. Now, other countries do not recognize the new name for that body of water. As a global news outlet, the AP said it's still referring to Gulf of Mexico in its stories and style book while acknowledging Trump's name change. And USDA programs that help reimburse farmers are losing their funding. This is thanks to those federal funding cuts.
Iowa farmers now speaking out about how that freeze is impacting them. On day 1 in office, President Trump froze nearly all federal funding. Many departments have resumed funding, but not the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Pete Youngblood is a farmer who rents and farms 800 acres across 3 eastern Iowa counties. He's working on conservation projects funded by the federal government. Well, those projects are funding through contracts with the Natural Resources Conservation Service, which is part of the USDA. Youngblood is reimbursed after his projects are complete, and now he's got no idea where or when his next paycheck will be coming.
If they cut the funding for them, then that's not there, and then it's less enticing for guys to actually utilize them and do a better job. And we want to do what's best for the ground that we live on and take care of.
In response to the rising questions, Iowa's Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship released a statement saying, in part, USDA has announced that they are conducting a very thorough review of their contracts, grants, cooperative agreements, and spending across the entire agency. We continue to see strong interest and demand for soil conservation and water quality programs, and we expect the momentum to continue to build.
So yesterday, 80 years ago, an iconic image of an American victory in World War II was captured. But that famous photo of U.S. Marines at Iwo Jima was actually the second flag raising. Among those who helped raise that first flag over Japanese territory in the war was a Minnesota native. That was Corporal Chuck Lindbergh, who was the last of the living flag raisers on Iwo Jima. 20 years ago, WCCO reporter David Schechter and photojournalist Tom Aviles, as well as producer Lena Rulli, they set out to tell his story in a documentary. It was called The Last Flag Raiser.
It was so rewarding to be able to tell somebody's story that was always kind of in the shadow. Yeah. And that's something which, I hope today when it re-airs in a few weeks, it will also be embraced by people who are not familiar with that history of a great Minnesota veteran and hero.
I agree, Tom. I think there's an aspect of this story that we put it on the record. And it was known by some people, but to actually put it together in one place, tell the story, and then have a trusted news organization say, this is the story of Chuck Lindbergh. It felt good. I felt like we did him a solid by helping him tell his story.
So the full 30-minute documentary and new conversation between David, Leno, and Tom, and Amelia, that's available to stream right now. You can find it at WCCO's YouTube page.
Minnesota anglers need to be paying attention because time is running out to remove your fish houses from area lakes.
For some, that deadline 1 week from today. Pauline Lee joining us from the live desk with what you need to know. Hi, Pauline.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, so how much time you have left to get those fish houses off the lake really depends on where you live. So let's take a look at the map here. Anglers in the lower 2/3 of Minnesota, deadline to remove those shelters March 3rd, so that's the 1 week from today. Further north, you have a little bit more time. That final removal date, March 17th. Now, while recent cold temperatures have helped to build up a strong ice layer, the DNR warning the stability can change quickly as warmer weather sets in.
If we have warm temperature combined with high winds, so that can create like a cyclone effect and the swirling in the holes, that opens up holes really fast. So if you drill a hole and you see water swirling in a hole, that's a bad sign.
Now, if you still want to enjoy the lakes, maybe a new tool to help you out. This is on the U of M website, so they've got a neat new tool. It's called the Ice Out Clock. So this is cool. If you scroll on down, like we're seeing here on your screen there, there's an interactive map that should be loading, but you can search it by county. It's all in alphabetical order. So how about we go to, say, Ramsey County, and let's check out maybe a prominent lake there. How about Lake Phelan? And let's see when the ice out date is projected to be there. So if you scroll down just a little bit more, you can kind of see it depends on the average snowfall here, but for the most part, ice out dates are like at the end of the month or so. Now, again, just a word of caution, this does not mean that the ice is safe. Of course, ice is never 100% safe, but a cool, nifty new tool to kind of check out the conditions on your favorite lakes all across Minnesota. Another thing to keep in mind, fish houses, back to the fish houses, if they are not removed by the deadline, DNR says owners could face prosecution, and your structures, it can be confiscated, being removed and destroyed by those conservation officers. So just make note of those two deadlines and get them off the ice as soon as possible.
I like what you said, though, Pauline, when you showed up that website there. It's just a tool.
Yes.
No ice is going to be 100% safe, but it's just a tool that you can use, and you kind of gauge the ice for yourself.
Yeah, you clearly want everything off far before
everything
ice out.
off.
Yes.
Make sure you don't put yourself in that situation. Yeah, get your stuff off the ice. Pauline, thank you.
Yeah. Let's go check in with next weather meteorologist Joseph Dames. Joseph, oh my gosh, I saw so many people out on the lakes this weekend.
Oh yeah, busy weekend. I mean, yesterday, talk around town was just how warm it was. And the snow was just melting so quickly. The roads, the sidewalks were just all wet from all the melt going on. So, hey, we're going to continue that as we go through today. Now, let's talk about some of the new week factors that we have coming through. Well, spring-like temperatures is the big one. Yeah, it's the conversation. I mean, what a huge shift from the cold last week, extreme cold, dangerous cold, to just kind of pleasant weather, easygoing weather for this week. Now, we still have wind. Some moments it might gust to about 30 miles per hour. Today is going to be one of those days where we have some wind. And then I have some showers in the forecast. But overall, I would say it's mainly dry as we go through the week. There's only just a couple moments where we'll probably have to just pay attention to maybe a little bit of moisture around the area. All right, up north today, I have 30s and 40s. Hackensack 43. Over towards Bemidji coming in at 40, extending to the east there. Virginia at 41. Silver Bay at 44. And Wadena coming in at 43 degrees for today, down through the 94 corridor. About the same, 40s up north, 50s down to the south. And we'll continue to see some 50s as you start heading through the Minnesota River Valley there. Mankato at 54. Now, what you might not be able to see is that there's actually some raindrops coming out of those partly cloudy skies. That will be for later today, as we are expecting some more conditions shifting over to some rain. The system's moving through. All right, so I'm going to show you that on the weather model here in just 1 second. Okay, so we went from 20s on Friday, which was our warm day last week, to 30s Saturday. That felt great. And then yesterday, nearly 50 degrees. In fact, the temperature that we clocked at our station here at WCCO was 51. All right, so we did break it to the 50s around downtown. 52 for the high today. We end up getting pretty steady in the 40s for about 3 days before we hit 50 again on Friday. So it's just going to be a really nice stretch going on. Here's the clouds, and there's the rain that's going to be moving in throughout the day today. We just have a little spike there. It's a low chance for the Twin Cities, but a little bit higher for the folks down in areas of Carver County, Scott County, through Nicollet County, those locations there. A spike Tuesday into Wednesday around here. So that does mean maybe a little bit of rain and maybe even some wet snowflakes. I'm going to show you right here on the forecast. All right, so I'll take you into the afternoon hours. You'll see that we get some clouds moving on in. Temperatures about 50 degrees. This is at about 2 p.m. Not too wet yet, but that batch of moisture comes sliding through as we head into the evening hours. You can see that stays mainly south of 94. I don't think it's going to clip the Twin Cities, but if you're in areas like Eden Prairie, Chanhassen, Chaska, you may actually get a little bit of rain with this. Down through Dakota County, areas like Lakeville, extending down to the southeast into Red Wing there. Goodhue County, you'll probably see some very light rain today. We wake up tomorrow morning dry, and then we have a second system arrive late Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. And this one, I do believe, will bring some rain in around the Twin Cities. And you see the blue? We may actually mix in some very wet snowflakes as well, but I think it's probably going to just be a cold rain as we head into Wednesday morning. That might mess with the morning commute on Wednesday. That's something that we're going to have to monitor in the next couple of days. Once we get through that, I think we have a beautiful forecast on Thursday there, a high of 46 degrees. And quite frankly, that could potentially be a top 10 weather day. Friday at 50, Saturday at 35, Sunday at 36. We do cool down a little bit for the weekend, but this is a pretty easygoing week. We just have to watch Wednesday morning for a little bit of rain.
You know what, easy? That sounds nice, Joseph. I think we deserve an easy
After
forecast.
that 2-week stretch was cold.
I think you're right. Next drive looks pretty good for the most part. 2 exclamation points we are following. Those are 2 crashes. One is going to be on 94 in Monticello. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and take you there right now. So this is the viewpoint from 94 and 95th Avenue. This is eastbound, so traffic that is going toward the Twin Cities. Notice the sun glare here, too. Probably a good idea to grab those sunglasses. We can't find the crash on our cameras, but it is out there. This is some of the backup that we are noticing. I want to take you to another crash. This is going to be in Mounds View. This is going to be on Highway 10. This is also eastbound, so traffic that is making its way toward 35W. This is at Airport Road. This is not what you want to see if you are going to be making your way through Mounds View. Now, the good news from this point, this is the next camera back. Oh, that camera's out, so we'll go back to the other camera. But for the most part, that backup, it's not too bad. But give yourself a little bit of extra time. MnDOT messing with the cameras as they focus in right now. But grab those sunglasses, because the sun glare we've seen a couple times this morning, really nice sunrise, but the sun glare could be a problem if you're going to be out. Make sure you don't get stuck in that traffic, though.
In Health Watch this morning, beginning today, the state will begin testing raw milk from dairy cows to see if they have H5N1 bird flu. Now, if a farmer's cows test positive, the farm is quarantined for 30 days, and 3 consecutive negative tests are needed to lift that quarantine. Challenging thing here is that nothing can leave the farm during that time, so livestock, manure, even cats, unless the farmer can get a permit from the Animal Board of Health. Dan Glessing of Glessing Family Farms near Waverly says the good news is that so far H5N1 hasn't been as fatal for dairy cows as it has been for poultry.
Anytime you have a disease outbreak, you want to minimize, whether it's poultry, whether it's cattle, you really want to minimize the effects.
Now, Glessing says that the testing won't be intrusive because the samples will be taken during scheduled collections of milk at dairy farms. He says it's a good reminder, though, that milk sold in stores is safe because it is pasteurized, which kills bacteria and viruses. Coming up, we'll have another update on your next weather, plus more of this morning's top headlines. Then,
egg costs are still soaring, where you may see the prices increase next.
prices impacting bakeries and much more. We are looking out for your money this morning. So surging egg prices across the U.S. are starting to hit bakeries. That egg shortage obviously tied to the highly pathogenic bird flu virus, which infected flocks across the country last year. Now, some bakeries say that they are now paying more than double the price they were from a year ago. Other bakeries say they might have to start using so-called egg replacers. We know inflation is on the rise and Americans are growing concerned. This is according to the latest University of Michigan survey. They found consumer sentiment has dropped in February. Now, the findings show it is down 10% from January. Recent CNN poll showed 62% of American adults say President Donald Trump isn't properly dealing with inflation. Trump administration has unveiled 10% tariffs on products from China and 25% tariffs on all aluminum and steel imports. Minnesota-based Target continues to face backlash over its diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. Their recently published numbers for February show that they've lost 3.9% of customers since that DEI rollback, while Costco, which stood by its DEI policies, increased their customers by 4.6%. Well, now Target is being sued by people who are in favor of the DEI rollback. State of Florida and American First Legal say that the company hid some of the financial risks of DEI before implementing the programs. Target has not commented on that lawsuit. Let's take a live look outside over St. Paul. It is sunny out there this morning and it is windy. You can see that camera shaking just a little bit there. Let's check in with next weather meteorologist Joseph Dames.
Well, good morning to everyone and happy Monday. Hope you had a really nice weekend. We finally got out of the cold and we stay warm for our Monday. Temperatures today in the 40s and 50s with clouds increasing through the day and maybe a sprinkle of some rain down to the south and southwest closer to about 8 p.m. tonight. All right, neighborhood highs around Hennepin County, Blaine at 52, down through Roseville at 52, St. Paul, Ramsey County at 52. And I'll leave you here with some of the highs off towards the east. Have a great day.
All right, Joseph, thank you. Let's take a look now at your next drive. We are seeing traffic start to pick up here on this Monday morning. A couple of crashes out there. It is very sunny. The glare is strong. Not sure why these crashes are happening, but a couple of them here. I want to take you out to this newest one. This is over in St. Paul. So this is 94 westbound. Slowing down traffic here with that car pulled over to the side of the road right at Highway 61. So just give yourself a little extra time if you're making your way through that area this morning. And as always, we will continue to keep you up to date on the very latest news and weather developments all day right here on the stream. And could there soon be mining in the Boundary Waters? There is a public hearing today set to tackle that question. Now, Minnesota residents and organizations are urging lawmakers to address the dangers of copper sulfide mining. On the first day of his presidency, President Trump had signed an order that would bring mining back to the protected Boundary Waters. Republican Congressman Pete Stauber introduced a bill, to reinstate mineral leases to companies and open up the Superior National Forest to mining. That bill being discussed today would bring back those restrictions unless proof can be brought that copper sulfide mining doesn't cause pollution. It would also ban Minnesota for issuing mining permits to corporations that have violated certain international laws. That hearing will be at the Minnesota Senate building. It's at 10:15 this morning. And we want to know if you played along in today's poll. We were talking about the future of traffic management and safety. Is AI the answer here? Looks like we got a 60-40 split in this spot. No, 60% say it can't replace a human. Yes, embrace it. Well, that's what they're doing out there in Minnetonka along Highway 7 right now. So we'll check back in with you with your poll. Thanks so much for voting there. We appreciate it. And we'll have more news headlines coming up after a quick break.
You're watching WCCO Mornings, always streaming on CBS News Minnesota.
Good Monday morning, 7:56. Joseph Lever next with a forecast in just a minute. But first, the state Senate is discussing ways to help keep deep fake images off of social media. That bill would turn off access to use or request technology to make fake non-consensual nude images. So there's going to be a press conference today. They'll talk about how this type of technology impacts Minnesotans. That'll be at 9:30 this morning. Let's take a look now at your next drive because things have really started to pick up here across the metro. We do have a couple of crashes. Most of these not causing some major problems except for this one over here in St. Paul. So this is 94 westbound. It's right at Highway 61. You can see that the left lane is closed, so they are just traffic going down from 3 to 2. So this is going to cause some problems. The emergency vehicles just got on scene. So if you're trying to make your way through this area, no, you might have to give yourself a little bit of extra time. Joseph?
Okay, it's very bright outside, but it's also nice and warm here on our Monday morning. It was this time last week where we had wind chills that were at like 36 below, all right? Where's the wind chill this morning? It feels more like 32. All right, that's about a 60-degree swing there. Right now, 39. By lunchtime, I have our temperatures warming up to about the mid to upper 40s. Our high today should be about 52. There will be more clouds in the afternoon and even a chance for some very light rain to the south. All right, we have a warm week, but we have another chance for maybe some rain and some wet snowflakes. I'll break that down at 8 a.m. See you then.
You're watching WCCO Mornings, always streaming on CBS News Minnesota.
Next on WCCO Mornings, Pope Francis still in critical condition battling pneumonia, how local Catholics are remembering his impact on their churches.
Then a suspect is in custody after an hours-long standoff with police in Burnsville, what authorities are sharing with the public.
And a new way to keep the roads safe, or an invasion of privacy, how police say AI-powered cameras will crack down on distracted driving.
Later, the deadline to remove fish houses for most of the state. It is 1 week away. What owners need to know ahead of a warm week. Good morning. Welcome to WCCO Mornings. We're live right here on our free streaming channel each weekday on CBS News Minnesota. I'm AJ Hilton.
And I'm Heather Brown.
We do want to get to something, unfortunately, because there are more concerns this morning when it comes to air travel. Take a look at this. An American Airlines plane headed from New York City to New Delhi had to make an emergency landing in Rome, Italy, after a, quote, possible security concern. And look, jets from the Italian Air Force, they had to escort this plane in. The airline now says that threat was not credible. The flight remained in Rome overnight to allow the crew to rest before continuing to New Delhi as early as possibly today.
And back here at home, Burnsville police say that a suspect is in custody, this after an hours-long standoff with police. Officers in tactical gear and an armored vehicle, they were at the scene near County Road 11. This is just west of Terrace Oaks West Park. Police put out an alert for neighbors to take shelter. They did ask the public to avoid that area as they blocked the surrounding streets. Now, one neighbor we talked with said that they started seeing police activity around 5 o'clock last night, and it's unusual for their quiet neighborhood.
Stuff like this doesn't happen often here, so it raises alarms, and we've all been looking out the windows.
So we're still working to learn more about what led to the standoff. We, of course, will bring you updates just as soon as we learn more.
Police are still looking for a young man charged in a series of alarming sex attacks. I want to show you a photo of 18-year-old Rakai Davis from St. Paul. Police say DNA connects him to one attack in 2023 and 2 more just last year. The disturbing thing, investigators see him hit all of his victims on dating apps or websites. They also think there could be more victims out there. So if you have any information on him or know where he may be, please give police a call. Developing headline we're following this morning, Catholics around the world are praying for the recovery of Pope Francis.
Yesterday, he was in critical condition, battling double pneumonia, with blood tests revealing early signs of kidney failure. He continued to get high-flow oxygen through tubes in his nose and blood transfusions. And over the weekend, his doctors underscored that he's a fragile patient and the treatment has been complex. And his thoughts and well wishes continue pouring in from around the world for Pope Francis.
We know people here in the Twin Cities are remembering how he impacted the church at home. Our Pauline Lee joins us from the live desk with our continuing coverage. Pauline?
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, Catholics in Minnesota, they focused this past weekend on praying for the Pope's good health. All of the parishes in the Archdiocese of St. Paul and Minneapolis reserved time during Mass services to pray for the Pope's recovery. Now, for some, this was an occasion to look back on the Pontiff's nearly 12-year papacy and how he has challenged Catholics to think critically on challenges facing the world.
He cares for people. He wants the lives of people to be better. You know how he always talks about immigrants, about people who are poor, about the children in war zones. I mean, he's concerned with the people and the well-being of the people.
And Archbishop Bernard Hebda of the Archdiocese of St. Paul and Minneapolis also tweeting over the weekend, saying in part, "We join Catholics and those of goodwill all around the globe in praying for Pope Francis. May he be restored to good health and be comforted at this critical time by our prayers." Definitely a lot of people keeping an eye, a watchful and a hopeful eye on the Pope's health, guys.
All right, Pauline Lee, we appreciate that. Thank you. Hey, just a heads up, if you still have a fish house on one of Minnesota's frozen lakes, the DNR wants you to make a plan to remove it because the deadline to remove shelters, it is just 1 week away for the lower 2/3 of the state. March 17th, if you're fishing further north. WCCO's Kirsten Mitchell spoke with some anglers who are getting ahead of that melt.
Medicine Lake is starting to return to its liquid form. But anglers like Ryan Lenski and Jared Bodsgard couldn't pass up the chance to cast a line in nearly 50-degree weather.
Yeah, I went outside, my hands are comfortable without gloves, and it doesn't feel like February.
And no jackets.
No jacket. And I'm comfortable, which is nice.
Sweatshirt, there we're good.
The frigid temperatures the past few weeks helped build up the ice.
Yeah, we're about that much ice.
But with warmer weather, the Minnesota DNR says expect the stability to change. On March 3rd, owners of fish houses in the lower 2/3 of the state need to get their shelters off the ice.
With this really warm whether we have all of a sudden, the first place to really start to deteriorate on the ice is the access points by shore. People think there's good ice on the lake, and that's true, but they might not be able to get to the good ice. That's the problem.
If fish houses aren't removed by that deadline, the DNR says owners could be prosecuted and the structure could be confiscated and removed or destroyed by conservation officers.
It's going to get sloppy. I think a lot of people are probably taking their stuff off today.
DNR conservation officers will be out enforcing the deadline and making sure people take their trash with them too.
Biggest thing would be just to have a plan and pay attention to it.
Ryan and Jared may not have caught many fish today, but they certainly caught some much needed vitamin D.
There was people fishing, people out walking the dogs, skiing. Everybody was trying to get out today and get some sunshine.
On Medicine Lake, Kirsten Mitchell, WCCO News.
All right, it is going to get sloppy there. DNR also warning about falls on the melting ice. In the past 48 hours, at least 2 people have been seriously injured after slipping, so they're advising everybody to wear ice cleats to add that extra piece of safety.
Yeah, got to be careful. This weekend, I'll tell you what, a bit of a shock, though, for those who decided to go inside the icy waters of Lake Johanna. This is in Arden Hills. Woo-hoo-hoo! Swimmers tackled the Minnesota Ice Swim. 25 and 50-meter lanes were available for those who took the challenge to race in those cold waters. One swimmer ready for the after effects of it all.
I'm going to be so much happier and have a lot of energy and almost have a sense of peace as well. Peace, energetic feeling, and just overwhelmed happiness.
I love that's what she's telling herself to get her in the water.
How do you think she actually felt afterwards?
I'm sure she felt energized.
There's another word that I'm looking for that you can't say on television. She probably felt too.
Ooh, that's not like a jump in and a jump out. That's like you actually have to think and swim.
At the same time. Anybody got time for that, Joseph?
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing that. I could find energy somewhere else.
Yeah.
But hey, if that is your thing, I mean, it probably was a good time just jumping in there and doing your thing. All right, this morning, temperatures right now, guys, at 41 degrees in the Twin Cities. I believe we dropped down to about 39 for a brief moment. And then we hit that rebound back into the 40s, and we're only going to go up as we head into the afternoon. So a nice mild start. Now, if you were to factor in the wind chill last Monday morning, 36 below. 41 degrees now. That's a 70-degree swing. It is much warmer to kick off our week this week. Some of the wind gusts around the area right now have been about 15, 20. I saw 25 miles per hour earlier. It will intensify this afternoon, that wind, okay? So there's going to be a feels like that's going to be a little bit cooler than our air temperature. 41 feels like 33. Wind is about 15 miles per hour. I have gusts about 25 to 35 miles per hour as we get into the afternoon hours. Right now up north, 38 degrees out of Grand Rapids. Not bad there. Marshall at 40. Collectively, we're all a lot warmer. You can see what we're tracking, though. I put the arrows into place. This is going to be our next disturbance, and it will arrive today. And then you have one up to the north as well. You see this little pocket right here? That will impact the northeast section of the state. This will have a larger impact around the 94 corridor southwest, Minnesota River Valley, places like that. And I'm not even going to rule out a chance for a couple raindrops around the Twin Cities, but I think that's more so going to be an issue as we get into this afternoon, evening hours south of us. We will definitely get the cloud coverage, though. Notice by about 4 p.m., cloudy, 48 degrees. That's after we probably see a high today of about 52. All right, that's what I have right here. 50s around the area. A little bit cooler up north, but still above average for you folks up north. What is average? Well, hey, check this out. 32 in the Twin Cities now. We're at that freezing point. For you folks up north, it's still mid to upper 20s, so we are way above that for today. And guess what? Heather and AJ, all week, we stay above average and fairly warm. Now, I do have a shot for maybe some wet snowflakes around the area this week. I'll break that down at 8:30.
All right, Joseph, thank you. Let's take a look at your next drive this morning. We are following one crash. This is going to be in St. Paul. It's on 94. It is eastbound. So for all of our friends who are coming in from Maplewood, other parts east, you try to make your way into St. Paul, you are going to run into this. We've got one lane, the left lane, that is blocked right now. A couple of vehicles involved in this crash. We do know that there are no injuries. They're hoping to get this clear clean soon. First responders are on scene. There's a little bit of a backup here. So this is the viewpoint from 94 at 61. I mentioned this is eastbound. Take a look at the backup. This is from White Bear Avenue, so just one camera back. So again, a little bit of a delay this morning. Matter of fact, Google Maps reporting a 9-minute delay right now. Give yourself that extra time. You should be okay. The only thing crash we're following in your next drive.
AI cameras are being deployed in Minnesota for the very first time, and the first spot they will watch is known for being a dangerous stretch of road because of distracted drivers. In 2024 alone, Highway 7 saw at least 5 fatal crashes. This is according to South Lake Minnetonka Police. The Highway 7 Safety Coalition recently received a more than $400,000 grant from the state of Minnesota, part of which is paying for AI cameras that can recognize when drivers are on their phones. The police say they have stopped well over 100 drivers in the last few weeks thanks to these cameras.
So we're looking for a way to educate people. Enforcement is one way to educate people, and that's one of the ways that we're using. But we're not citing everybody. We're not sending tickets in the mail. We're letting people know that this is a problem. They need to focus on driving, and they need to put their phones down.
So the cameras don't automatically issue tickets. Police do check and make sure that there's an actual distracted driver there, and they pull that driver over. At this rate, police say that the cameras will detect tens of thousands of distracted drivers by the end of the month.
That is our question of the day. Is AI the future of traffic management and safety? Yes, should we embrace it, or no, it can't replace a human? Let us know right now. Chime in. You can vote in our poll. You can provide feedback. Scan the QR code. It's on your screen. Or you can go to WCCO.com/connect. Going to get your thoughts on traffic and AI in just a little bit. Gopher baseball team just took down a top 10 contender. We'll let you know how they did it.
Then it is a Minnesota snow rodeo. Catch some exciting highlights from the extreme horse ski joring competition down in Shakopee. Canterbury, every time. They get it. It's so good. This is with us. Stay next.
northern Wisconsin, the destination for competitive skiers over the weekend. Yeah, you know we're talking about it. The finish line for the annual Berkey Ski Race will return to downtown Hayward this year. Just a year after the warm weather had forced some course changes. It's year 51 for the race week that brings in people from all across the globe. That includes this year's winner from France, Gerard Annelay. He says the fans and atmosphere made for a great Midwestern return.
He said that everybody is honestly adorable here. He didn't know if he didn't know how much lead he had and if he had time to stop or not. So he turned around, he didn't see anyone, so he just wanted to start thanking some people and greeting people who were cheering for him.
Y'all, he called us adorable. Annelay says the Berkey course is one of the best he's been on. He's hoping to bring more skiers from France to experience the race in the future. Some more international skiers could be here come next year. Maybe the Berkeys aren't enough for you. Well, another kind of race took place at Canterbury Park on Sunday. What? What's going on here? Participants hooked themselves up to galloping horses for extreme horse ski touring. Skiers and snowboarders use the extra horsepower to weave their way in and out of obstacles for cash prizes. More than 350 people competed. The addition of 4 legs makes it more than I should say, than just your average race.
This is the snow rodeo. So for those folks that love horses, that love skiing, this is a really great convergence of the two sports. Watch the snowboarding, like the skiing community come together with the horse lovers. There's a really fun blend that you don't get elsewhere.
Nope, you don't. Skijoring is the Norwegian word for ski driving. Organizers say it was first reported in Central Asia thousands of years ago, and now it is a competitive worldwide sport. Really cool to see. Only at Canterbury of all places. Hey, on a Monday morning, if you had Alice Rodriguez sinking a half-court shot, banking in 10 grand for a college student on your bingo card, kudos to you. Take a look for yourself. The 14-time MLB All-Star turned potential soon-to-be Minnesota Timberwolves owner, he nailed the shot. Watch it. And the crowd goes wild. All taking place at Bucknell University. You see right here, A-Rod making the rounds, hoisting people up in the air. Now, you may be wondering, why was A-Rod, of all places, at Bucknell? Well, he was there to speak about a company he founded with Mark Laurie, who also hopes to buy the Timberwolves. And by the way, Laurie graduated from Bucknell, so you see the connection. But he made the shot. Pretty cool shot. Speaking of basketball, how about the McAllister women's basketball team? They just wrapped up their season, their best season, matter of fact, since 2013. And our Ren Clayton caught up with their top scorer, who also happens to be the best in the conference. Watch for yourself.
The McAllister women's basketball team has a weapon.
She does a little bit of everything. We call her a chameleon because she can kind of score inside, she can score outside, she can defend inside, she can defend outside. So to have somebody that versatile on your team gives you a lot of options as a coach.
2 seasons ago, last season, and this season, Peyton Starks leads the MIAC in scoring.
Honestly, it's been awesome. I try to work really hard in the off-season and end-season to kind of get to this point. But it's been great, and I mean, honestly, it all goes back to my teammates. Like, without them, I wouldn't be here. Like, if they don't want to pass me the ball or they don't trust me, then, like, I can't really do anything.
The Scots have endured years of struggles. This season, on track to be their best since 2010, with Starks leading the way.
This year's been awesome because we walk into every game with the ability to win. You know, I can't say that was true when I first got here, right? But as we've grown, as our players have grown, as our program has grown, like, to be competitive in every game that we walk into and believe that we can win has just been really rewarding.
It's super exciting. I mean, I feel like when I got here, the basketball team was at a very different place, and it's just been awesome to kind of be a part of this growth.
Starks is a senior. Soon she'll graduate, like many McAllister athletes, with an impressive degree.
So I'm a neuroscience major, and then I have a concentration in community and global health. I really love it. It's super interesting. I mean, we all have a brain, and we might as well learn how to use it since we have it for our whole lives.
Coming up in sports, including an update on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Let's check in with Ren Clayton now.
Minnesota Timberwolves played a tough back-and-forth game against Oklahoma City, the Thunder, last night at Target Center, ultimately losing to OKC 130-123. Anthony Edwards had 29 points, Naz Reid had 22, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the best scorer in the league, the top scorer in the league, had 37 points. It was back and forth, but the Thunder pulled away late. Oh yeah, these teams will hop on a playing and play again tonight in Oklahoma. The Minnesota Frost, they played their lone home game yesterday at the Xcel Energy Center of almost a 2-month span. They played Toronto. Michaela Cava scored the Frost's only goal of the game in the first period. Minnesota loses 2-1. Their next home game will be in St. Paul on March 26th. And in girls hockey, after the state championships were awarded on Saturday, Sunday, the awards were given out. Mercury Bischoff won Miss Hockey, and Layla Hemp of Minnetonka won the Goalie of the Year award. And in Gophers baseball, a big upset. The Gophers beat Oregon State 10-4. Oregon State ranked 7th in the country. The first time the Gophers have beaten OSU since a long time ago, 1999. Here in the newsroom, Ren Clayton, WCCO Sports.
Good stuff, Ren. Thanks. We'll be back with more headlines after a quick break.
You're watching WCCO Mornings, always streaming on CBS News Minnesota.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Pauline Lee. Joseph Dames will have your next weather forecast in just a minute. But first, new this morning, this will be the final season for the Ice Palace, Minnesota in Delano. The Youngstrom family, who are the organizers, posted to Facebook thanking everyone who has visited and supported them throughout the years. And of course, they also said with last year's challenging season and only being open for 4 days, they faced some significant hurdles in bouncing back. As a family-owned business, they wanted to give it one more shot this season, and they are grateful they did after seeing so so many people come to check it out. Final day of operations will be this Sunday, March 2nd. Minnesota-based Target continues to face backlash over its diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. The company recently published numbers for February showing a loss of 3.9% in customers since the DEI rollback, while Costco, which stood by its DEI policies, increased its customers by about 4.6%. Now Target is being sued by people who are in favor of the DEI rollback. The state of Florida and America First Legal say that the company hid some of the financial risks of DEI before implementing the programs. Target has not yet commented on the lawsuit. Let's check out your next drive right now. For the most part, we are smooth sailing on this Monday morning. As we take a look at the metro-wide map, you can see a lot of green out there, just a couple of exclamation points. Those aren't necessarily going to slow you down as they're off to the side, but there is one incident I do want to talk about. This one up in the Arden Hills area. You see 35 at County Road 96, emergency vehicle off to the side. This one coming in as a car fire, vehicle on fire. Don't see any flames, but you do see the emergency cars there off to the side. So just a heads up, this is going northbound too. Let's get a check of our forecast now with meteorologist Joseph Dames. Joseph, that camera swaying in the wind. It's super windy out there.
It is. It's breezy, but it is nice and warm, all right? So temperatures right now actually in the 40s. It's 42 degrees. By lunchtime, 49 with some clouds. We do have a chance for some rain later today. I'll break it down coming up at 8 a.m. or 8:30. See you then.
You're watching WCCO Mornings, always streaming on CBS News Minnesota.
Next on WCCO Mornings, email ultimatum, what Elon Musk wants some federal workers to do or face resignation. Then some farmers say they're feeling the pinch of funding freezes, how they're reacting to the latest moves by the Trump administration. Plus, testing for bird flu set to start here in Minnesota, how officials are working to keep the food you eat safe. And later, our warm-up is a sign that spring is just around the corner. We're going to break down the latest flood outlook as the state begins to thaw. Good morning, everyone. A happy Monday to you. Welcome to WCCO Mornings, streaming live on CBS News Minnesota. I'm Pauline Lee. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's get straight to your top headlines this morning, because this morning, a looming deadline for millions of federal workers after a weekend email from Elon Musk telling them to explain their accomplishments over the last week. Now, this comes as just last night, the White House announced it's firing 2,000 USAID workers, putting thousands more on administrative leave. Musk says a failure to respond will be taken as a resignation, but not every agency is cooperating with his new demands. The Department of State, Homeland Security, and Defense have all told their employees not to comply. Later today, President Trump turns his focus to foreign relations by inviting France's president to the White House. Russia's war in Ukraine is expected to be top of issue here, with Ukraine's president saying over the weekend he'd step down for peace and a place in the NATO alliance. Well, as the Trump administration continues its mass firings, the president announces a new leader for the FBI. Dan Bongino is a conservative talk show host and is the new deputy director alongside Kash Patel. Bongino is a former Secret Service agent, and President Trump posted to social media that the talk show host will be giving up his radio show and podcast for the positions. The Trump administration reportedly ordered the government scientists working on a global climate report to stop work immediately. That report from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. It was due to come out in 2029. Now the authors' international meeting that was set to take place in China next week is in limbo. And the Associated Press is trying to get back into the White House. They are suing 3 Trump officials over its ban. AP reporters have been barred from some of President Trump's events, the Oval Office as well as Air Force One. Now, in the lawsuit filed Friday in federal court, the AP said the ban violates the First Amendment. Earlier this month, the news agency was singled out by the White House for continuing to use the phrase Gulf of Mexico. It's after Trump renamed it Gulf of America. Other countries do not recognize the new name for the body of water. As a global news outlet, the AP said it's still referring to Gulf of Mexico in its stories and style book, while acknowledging Trump's name change. USDA programs that have helped reimburse farmers are losing their funding. That's thanks to some federal cuts. Now Iowa farmers are speaking out about how the freeze is impacting them. On day 1 of office, President Trump froze nearly all federal funding. Now, many departments have resumed funding, but not the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Pete Youngblout is a farmer who rents and farms about 800 acres across 3 eastern Iowa counties. He's working on conservation projects funded by the federal government. Now, those projects are funding through contracts with the Natural Resource Conservation Service, which is a part of the USDA. Youngblout is reimbursed after his projects are complete. Now he has no idea where his paycheck will come from next.
Funding for them, then that's not there, and then it's less enticing for guys to actually utilize them and do a better job. And we want to do what's best for the ground that we live on and take care of.
Now, in response to the rising questions, Iowa Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship released a statement saying, in part, USDA has announced that they are conducting a very thorough review of their contracts, grants, cooperative agreements, and spending across the entire agency. We continue to see strong interest and demand for the soil conservation, water quality programs, and we expect the momentum to continue to build. Well, beginning today, the state will begin testing raw milk from dairy cows to see if they have the H5N1 bird flu. If a farmer's cows test positive, the farm is quarantined for 30 days, and 3 consecutive negative tests are needed to lift that quarantine. Challenging thing is that nothing can leave the farm during that time. So livestock, manure, even cats, unless the farmer can get a permit from the Animal Board of Health. Dan Glessing of Glessing Farms, Family Farm, I should say, near Waverly, says the good news is that so far, H5N1 hasn't been fatal for dairy cows, as it has been for poultry.
Anytime you have a disease outbreak, you want to minimize, whether it's poultry, whether it's cattle, you really want to minimize the effects.
Glessing says the testing won't be intrusive because the samples will be taken during scheduled collections of milk at dairy farms. He says it's a good reminder that milk sold in stores is safe because it's pasteurized, which kills bacteria and viruses. The state Senate is discussing ways to keep deepfake images off of social media. The bill would turn off access to use or request technology to make fake, non-consensual nude images. Now, there will be a press conference today to discuss how this type of technology impacts Minnesotans. That's happening at 9:30 this morning. Could there soon be mining in the Boundary Waters? A public hearing today set to tackle that very question. Minnesota residents and organizations, they are urging lawmakers to address the dangers of copper sulfide mining. On the first day of his presidency, President Trump signed an order that would bring mining back to the protected Boundary Waters. Republican Congressman Pete Stauber introduced a bill to reinstate mineral leases to companies and open the Superior National Forest to mining. The bill being discussed today would bring back those restrictions unless proof can be brought that copper sulfide mining does not cause pollution. It would also ban Minnesota from using mining permits to corporations that have issuing mining permits to corporations that have violated certain international laws. That hearing is set to happen in the Minnesota Senate building. That's happening at 10:15 this morning. All right, 8:36 right now as we take a live look outside. Plenty of sunshine this morning, and it's also very warm. Warmer than I should say that we have had temperature-wise. So let's check out next other meteorologist, Joseph Dames. Joseph, I noticed two things. It was warmer out, and it was very windy when I was walking into work.
It's very windy, and there's way less snowfall on the ground, too, Pauline, because of the warmth that we had going back through the weekend. And we finally crawled our way out of that very, very cold stretch that we had last week. And then the week before that was also very cold. We had about 2 to 2.5 weeks of some very cold, below average air. So we've changed it all up. We did that this week, and we keep it going, all right? New week, new factors, spring-like temperatures today through the week. And then it comes back to reality as we get closer to the weekend, though. Windy, moments of about 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts. We'll probably feel that this afternoon, and then we have another day on Friday, and then we'll see in between. And then I have some showers in the forecast. Mainly dry this week, but I have at least 2 opportunities to see a little bit of rain, one actually being later today. All right, this morning, though, the sunshine is just perfect, and we are still very, very warm and mild to kind of kick off our day. All right, Sandstone today coming in about 48 degrees. If you're in areas closer to Duluth, extending out to the northwest there to Grand Rapids, temperatures today in the lower to mid-40s. Around the 94 corridor, I have upper 40s to 50s. Slightly cooler up towards Fergus Falls. Warmer if you're shooting down to the south there. Montevideo today, a high of 51 degrees. Hope you enjoyed your weekend. Not bad, right? 54 for Mankato, and then over towards the bluffs of the Mississippi Ave. Wabasha coming in at about 52, and Red Wing today coming in at about 51. All right, so there we are. We had a start here, and then you can see where we wrapped up our weekend. And that 26 on Friday was the warmest day of last week. We started off the week a week ago. It didn't even hit 0. All right, our high was 2 below. We had 36 below wind chill. It was just so harsh. So a much easier forecast and conditions for today. I mentioned we'll probably be sitting in spring-like temperatures until we get to the weekend. And then once we get into the weekend, it's going to feel a little bit closer to an average late February, early March type of day. All right, so we do have some clouds and some rain to the west. That system's actually tracking southeastward towards us, okay? So a little bit later today, our chance of rain does increase, dips down as we go into our Tuesday afternoon. And then you can see this spike right here. Yeah, I think we have a good shot to see some rain and maybe even some wet snowflakes Tuesday night heading into Wednesday morning. So that does mean that maybe your Wednesday morning commute might be a little wet. I'm going to show you that on our forecast. This is a weather model now. It's going to take us into the afternoon, evening hours. You'll notice that the clouds increase as we get to lunchtime, more so early afternoon. Here comes that batch of moisture I was telling you about. I think late afternoon into the evening hours. Probably after the evening commute, more so 7 to 8 p.m., we start seeing some rain around here. And it may clip the Twin Cities, definitely the southern portion and maybe the western portion of Hennepin County. I think more so, though, if you start heading out towards Waconia, Eden Prairie, Chaska, you'll probably have a better shot for a little bit of rain. And then points south and southeast as well, and then all the way down to the south there. If you're up north, you're probably going to avoid the rain, but you might get some snow flurries due to that little batch of snow that's coming off of the northern portion of the state. I've paused it here at 7:30 on our Tuesday morning. There's some clouds around, and it's definitely going to be a little bit cooler than where we woke up this morning, but still not bad. Temperatures in the 20s and 30s, warming up in the afternoon to the mid-40s. All right, then we have our second disturbance, which is going to arrive Tuesday night into Wednesday. You can see it forming right here. And that's likely going to bring in some precipitation for us as we go into our Tuesday night. Notice by Wednesday morning, some of that rain transitions over to snow. So we might get some very wet snow as we go through the morning hours. It clears out. We're still very warm, and I don't think it's going to be a big problem there outside of maybe just some wet conditions for your morning commute. Thursday morning, we have some snow flurries up north, but I think overall we avoid anything around here. But how much will we see if we do kind of get the best out of both of these events coming up, one being today and Wednesday? We might pick up about 1/10 of an inch. I don't think it's going to be too much, all right? Just know that that Wednesday morning is going to be your trouble spot maybe for the week. All right, Thursday I think could be a really nice day. I'm going to go with mostly sunny for now, but looking at some of those weather models, we might have some clouds in the morning. By Friday, I think we're back to 50 degrees, Pauline. Wrapping up the week on the warmer side, but also pretty windy. And then we get to the weekend. Temperatures back closer to average, mid-30s, a mixture of some sun and clouds. A little bit cooler, but I do think maybe the following week we're warm again. So I don't think we're going to be diving back to the cold just yet.
Okay, if you're going to call that a little bit cooler, I'll take that, especially after last week.
That's right.
All right, Joseph, thanks. Let's check out your next drive right now because for the most part, we're doing great. Just one incident across the metro here. This one up in the Arden Hills area. This was called in as a car fire, but it looks like there's a tow truck there. It's off to the side, so it's not impacting traffic. This, by the way, going northbound as well. So hopefully that's going to get out of the way very soon here. But other than that, take a look across the metro. Plenty of green as you head out the door. A combination of African and modern dance makes its way to the stage for this final week of Black History Month. Oh, aren't they good? It's such great young talent there. Some big steppers stopped by WCCO studios over the weekend for a special performance. Step with Soul will be performing at the Black History Step Show extravaganza later this week. It's happening in Cottage Grove. The young group of performers across the Twin Cities and leaders of the group say that the kids are learning more than just the performance.
We use Step to help our students with certain values such as commitment, leadership, discipline, skills that they can use in the classroom and beyond.
A Step with Soul's Black History Step Show extravaganza happening on February 28th. It's from 5:30 to 8 p.m. It's going to be held at Park High School in Cottage Grove. Well, 80 years ago yesterday, an iconic image of an American victory in World War II was captured. But the famous photo of U.S. Marines at Iwo Jima was actually the second flag raising. Among those who helped raise the first flag over the Japanese territory in the war was a Minnesota native, Corporal Chuck Lindbergh. He was the last living flag raiser of Iwo Jima. And 20 years ago, WCCO reporter David Schechter, photojournalist Tom Avilis, and producer Lino Rulli set out to tell his story in a documentary called The Last Flag Raiser.
It was so rewarding to be able to tell somebody's story that was always kind of in the shadow. Yeah. And that's something which, you know, I hope today when it re-airs in a few weeks, it will also be embraced by people who are not familiar with that history of a great Minnesota veteran and hero.
I agree, Tom. I think like there's an aspect of this story that we put it on the record. And it was known by some people, but to actually put it together in one place, tell the story, and then have a trusted news organization say, this is the story of Chuck Lindbergh. It felt good. I felt like we did him a solid by helping him tell his story.
The full 30-minute documentary, a new conversation between David, Lino, and Tom, and Amelia is available for streaming right now on WCCO's YouTube page. Coming up, another update on weather plus more of this morning's top headlines. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Our warm-up is a sign that spring is just around the corner. While a lot of you are excited about the thaw, it can bring some flooding like what we saw here in Blue Earth County last year. So our next weather meteorologist, Adam Del Rosso, shows us the latest outlook.
It may not feel like it just yet, but spring will be here soon. Flowers will be coming up, and so could our rivers.
What we are considering is what has the winter been like so far? You know, how much moisture is in the soils? Where are the rivers right now in terms of stream flow? And then obviously how much snow we have out there on the landscape and how much water is in that snowpack.
Sean Deviney is a senior hydrologist with the National Weather Service here in the Twin Cities. He says our lackluster snowfall is a big reason why spring flooding is less likely across most of the state this year. But that's not a guarantee.
We do have above average frost depths, which can cause a problem if you put a bunch of rain on top of that soil. And so that's yet to be seen, but that could be a factor.
He says the odds for river flooding are a little higher in the Red River Valley, where more snow has fallen. However, intense rainfall anywhere over the coming weeks could lead to ice jams as well. But that part of the forecast remains a toss-up since our weak La Nina isn't giving meteorologists any big hints about the season ahead.
I would say don't let your guard down. And these things can change and change quickly. Just because we're saying it's a below normal probabilistic risk of flooding doesn't mean it's not going to happen.
Adam Del Rosso, WCCO News.
And the Weather Service updates the flood outlook every 2 weeks. We'll be keeping a close eye on that as well. As we take a live look outside now, weather-wise, hey, look at that. Just a few wispy clouds out there. Noticeably warmer today than what we had last week. So let's check in with next weather meteorologist Joseph Dames.
Well, good Monday morning to everybody. Today, back into the 50s. This will be the second time this year we hit the lower 50s in late January. So here we are back at it. Now, it's going to feel probably more like lower to mid 40s because of a wind today, but we will get some sunshine with clouds increasing in the afternoon, and we'll get a little cloudy out there. Highs up to the north in the 40s, highs to the south, a mix of 40s and 50s in the forecast.
Joseph, thanks. And did you play along in our poll today? We wanted to know from you, is AI the future of traffic management and safety? So let's take a look at what you said here and let's bring up the poll. Looks like 33% of you, yes, embrace it. 67% of you say nope. Can't replace a human. Either way, it's an interesting topic to think about, no matter where you fall on that spectrum. Thanks, everyone, for chiming in on that one. We appreciate it. As always, we'll continue to keep you up to date with the latest news and weather developments all day right here on the stream. Coming up today at mid-morning at 9 in just a few minutes here, what does a Vikings insider do when the season is over? Good question. We're going to find out all about Cody Benjamin's other projects that he's working on in the off-season. Well, thank you so much for joining us today on the stream. We'll be back with more news and weather headlines coming up after a quick break.